Hi, I'm Chris Jones and I'm the Managing Director at PSE Consulting. Welcome to this panel discussion. Today we're going to be talking about the exciting topic of how we bring Formula One into the acquiring business. And this panel discussion is designed to cover off a number of the topics which I'm sure will be absorbing a number of people's mental effort during Money 2020. And really what we want to do is to get people's grey cells working a little bit in advance. I'm very privileged to be joined today on this panel session by a number of payments industry leaders. Very pleased to be joined by Robert Kraal from Silverflow. Hi there, Robert.
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert from Silverflow, one of the founders. Nice to meet you.
Joao Moura from Fraudio.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me. I'm one of the founders at Fraudio.
And Ivan from Intergiro.
Hey, Chris. I'm Ivan, a product manager at Intergiro. Very nice to be here.
Great. So just a couple of introductory comments before we move into the questions for the panel. And I'm sure everybody who's watching this today is aware on how quickly the payments industry is moving, whether that's new business models emerging through PayFacs marketplaces, the role of payments in crypto, how technology is evolving, recent announcements from a number of key players around soft POS, and obviously the ongoing presence of regulation both here in Europe and across the globe. The payment acceptance market in particular has received a lot of attention, both from investors and commentators alike, as new players have come into the landscape and began to challenge the status quo. And it's in this dynamic environment that it's become vital to be able to launch and scale and iterate at pace. And in particular, there's a need to rapidly absorb and analyze data to support improved customer outcomes, whether that be across onboarding or transaction processing or fraud and risk analysis. And all of those areas have become strong differentiators in the marketplace. However, actually getting that out and on the ground and deploying these new insight-led customer services has been a significant challenge because the infrastructure within the acquiring landscape hasn't effectively been up to the job. But enough of the theory. Let's talk to the panel members and get their views on what it's actually been like to do these things, and what the experience of actually kind of working in the trenches and getting the scars from living this rather than just talking about it. So maybe I can start with Ivan. Ivan, perhaps you could begin by telling us what you would regard as the most significant problems and barriers that you've had to overcome in your journey launching the business from inception through to a live service.
What we see at Intergiro is acquiring is a key part of our offering, together with issuing and payment accounts. So for us, the biggest question is how do we compete and grow in the acquiring market? And as we see acquiring as pretty much a commodity today, our edge, we believe, can come through capabilities such as super fast merchant onboarding, or instant settlement of funds, or basically transparent data flow from schemes to the merchants. So while trying to solve this, or trying to find ways to solve it, we ran into various issues with different legacy providers, and both in terms of understanding our needs, but also reacting fast enough to help us out. So what was great about Silverflow and Fraudio when we partnered up is that we found this great fit, as I see it, where we have a kind of a mutual understanding that we're on this journey together. So we need to build these solutions together. So one big barrier for us was the lack of a fully API-based solution for different segments of the merchant journey, for example. So we had identified a number of merchant experience problems when talking to players in the market, and And then basically through these partnerships, we can solve a number of these problems by putting together the fully API-based solutions that Fraudio and Silverflow have provided, which means, around merchant onboarding, around settlement, around fraud mitigation, both on cardholder and merchant fraud side. So for us, this means we're closer to automation, and this means we can scale quite efficiently. And I would say from our side, by setting this partnership up this way, we're free to obsess about the merchant experience, which is what our job is.
Thank you, Ivan. And maybe Robert, picking up from Ivan's story, I mean, what have been your experiences in your journey so far?
I think that of course, Ivan's story is exactly why we originally thought there would be a space for a product such as Silverflow. So we see that many neobanks, but also payment service providers are looking to become an acquirer, to provide a difference there, to take a little bit of margin, but also to try to innovate on those products, whether it be the data or the speed of onboarding, etc. But we also recognize that those products are not available at this moment. And this is exactly why we said, okay, listen, we need to define a new product, to build a new processing platform to help exactly these type of customers with the problems that they face. And those problems are real. It's about the simplicity. How can I easily go live, become an acquirer? And that doesn't just include the messaging between Visa and MasterCard. It also includes a lot of other operational responsibilities where you need to look at, for instance, as fraud detection, fraud management, etc. But we've decided to focus ourselves as Silverflow, particularly on the technical messaging between Visa and MasterCard, but also around the data. There is a lot of data available when you're handling transactions, and you can build a lot of functionality on top of that. You can build all type of analysis tools, but also tools for reconciliation, etc. And this is exactly why we build it. So it's great to see that that our customers like this as well, and that we can work with partners on the data field for combating fraud and risk-related products.
Thank you, Robert. João, from Fraudio's perspective, how do you see this ever evolving world of the fraudster, and how do you see the marketplace evolving in the next few years?
Indeed, in this market, in this day and age, acquiring has become or is becoming very commoditized. Processing was commoditized before that. Of course, it also grew to be a very legacy set of systems and services that the acquirers have to interact with. And so it was ripe for disruption, and it is ripe for disruption, and Silverflow is taking that space very well. But acquirers like Intergiro, when it comes to fraud management and fraud detection, they, being greenfields projects and not having a lot of experience, a lot of transactions to account for, they face one big hurdle, which is, traditionally machine learning models need to be created from a lot of data. And so if you don't have that data to begin with, you are automatically excluded from being able to use that technology. And your alternative will be the very traditional rules-based systems, which are, you can do something with it, but you will have some pain with false positives, also with false negatives. And so what we have seen at Fraudio, and this is really why we're here, why we started, is that it is possible to do it in a little bit in a different way. So instead of that orthodoxy of one data set, one model, we have a very different way of doing things. So we aggregate data from all of our customers, and then we train one AI from that data, and that allows them, for players that don't have data, or for players that have a lot of data, but for instance, on the acquiring side, and not so much on the issuing side, to connect to our network and make use of the models that we have immediately. And so I would say that these days, to kickstart an operation on the acquiring sides, a safe operation, it is possible, whereas before it was a little bit harder.
Some very interesting points, and maybe we could wrap up with a couple of final points, Ivan, from you. Taking us through your experiences on implementing perhaps a non-traditional approach to launching an acquiring service.
I would say from being issued bins by the schemes, that would be non-traditional is that we were basically live roughly 6 weeks after that. So that means we were live with both processing and fraud integrations, and that means we can serve. We were able to serve a merchant live with settlements and fund payouts. So the way of working for us has been that we have dedicated product teams that work directly with product teams on both Silverflow and Fraudio sites, and ideally for us, they interact through Slack, which has worked quite well, which we were very happy to kind of be able to set up. And this means we get speed, because we can integrate very fast. Our teams can talk to each other, get support, and get help instantly when we need that. This is something that you typically don't get with a legacy player. It's I would say it's impossible. So one big thing that as I mentioned earlier regarding the APIs and a fully API-based approach is that we as a customer get full access to the APIs as both Silverflow and Fraudio continuously add to them, right? So all the features get continuously integrated into the API, meaning we get instantly access to new features, meaning that for us, this has an impact on time to market. So compared to a legacy player, we were able to put out a feature 6 to 9 months earlier, which has then a revenue impact as well. So with a legacy player, you typically would do a cost project, which would take 6 to 9 months. You would do a kind of change request, etc. So it's a very big difference for us. So I would say that all in all, at the end of the day, we just want to help each other grow. So I would say that this kind of cooperation works great from our perspective.
Thanks very much for your perspectives. It's been a fantastic conversation. It's been very insightful, and I'm sure people watching this will have found it very useful. So I suppose it just remains for me to thank our panel members. So Robert, thanks very much.
Thank you as well.
João, thanks very much for your time.
My pleasure.
And thanks very much, Ivan.
Thanks, Chris.
So that's it from me. We look forward to seeing you all at Money 2020.